Welcome, gentlemen. Ever notice how, when something goes wrong, people almost instantly start searching for someone to blame? It's like their first instinct isn't to solve the problem, it's to point fingers. Sigma males know this game all too well. They often become the convenient target not because they've done something wrong, but because they stand apart in how they think, act, and live. And let me ask you, have you ever been blamed for something you didn't do? If yes, type yes in the comments because you're going to relate to what's coming next. Being different comes with a unique weight, a weight most people will never understand. And yes, sometimes that weight looks like unfair blame being dumped on their shoulders. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of collapsing under false accusations, Sigma males turn these moments into opportunities. They use blame like a spotlight, revealing more about the accuser than about themselves. To them, every accusation is just a mirror, showing fear, jealousy, or insecurity on the other side. This is where I want you to lean in, because what you're about to hear might just change how you handle your next confrontation. And rather than diving headfirst into arguments or wasting hours trying to convince everyone of their innocence, they let time, truth, and results speak on their behalf. Their calm reaction completely throws critics off balance because outrage is what everyone expects, not composure. That composure becomes a quiet kind of power. This isn't about being cold. It's about choosing wisdom over noise. Sigma males know that if people are throwing stones, it's only because they can see you. Nobody bothers attacking what's invisible. So, the next time you face unfair accusations, take a page from their book. Don't let lies define you. Keep steady, keep focused, and let your actions prove them wrong. Stick around, because up next we're diving into exactly how Sigma males use these moments to build unshakable respect, even from their harshest critics. Alright, let's get into it. Number 1. He studies the person who blames him. Blame, more often than not, is just a disguised confession. The Sigma male has learned that finger-pointing rarely has much to do with him. It usually says everything about the person pointing. Blame is a mirror they can't face themselves, so they shove it in someone else's hands. You've probably seen this play out. Maybe you've got that one friend who's always accusing others of being selfish, yet never remembers your birthday, never checks in unless they need something, and somehow manages to make every conversation about them. What they accuse others of. That's exactly what they're guilty of. It's like watching someone scatter crumbs across the floor, then turn around and complain that you're the messy one. The Sigma male doesn't react with anger here. He treats it like free intel. If someone calls him dishonest, he watches them closely because 9 times out of 10, they're the one with something to hide. If someone calls him lazy, he knows it's probably coming from the person who's been dodging responsibility their entire life. He almost finds humor in it. While they're passionately pointing fingers, he's quietly thinking, "Thanks for the confession. You just saved me the trouble of figuring you out." It's like someone handing you their diary while pretending it's your fault. By observing instead of defending, the Sigma flips the situation on its head. He sees what everyone else misses, and that quiet observation gives him the edge. While the crowd drowns in noise and drama, he's already mapped out who's real and who's just projecting. Number 2. He's not shaken by accusations. The Sigma male knows something most people don't. Being the scapegoat is often the price of refusing to blend in. If you stand apart from the group, you sometimes become the perfect target because blaming the outsider is easier than the group admitting their own flaws. Picture this: a school or workplace project fails. Instead of everyone admitting they all slacked a little, the group points to the one guy who never joined for after-work drinks or didn't laugh at their inside jokes. That outsider becomes the easy sacrifice because it keeps the group's fragile unity intact. The Sigma male sees this for what it is, and rather than breaking down, he almost expects it. He doesn't enjoy being blamed, but he doesn't crumble under it either. Where others panic at being singled out, he understands that scapegoating says far more about the group than it does about him. He even finds a little humor in it. While they build their case, he's quietly thinking, "Of course it's me again." At this point, I should probably carry a clipboard and start charging rent for all this attention. That lightness keeps him from growing bitter, because he knows a deeper truth. Blame is only ever cast on the strong, never on the weak. By staying calm under the weight of false accusations, the Sigma male shows a strength that shouts louder than any argument. And over time, that very same group that blamed him, they often end up respecting him for standing tall without needing their approval. Number 3. He separates identity from opinion. What people say about him is their story, not his reality. This is one of the Sigma male's greatest strengths. He knows the difference between who he is and what others think he is. Most people struggle with this. They bend and twist themselves trying to live up to every opinion thrown at them, trapped in a never-ending circus of jumping through hoops just to stay liked. Take social media as an example. One day you post a picture and someone calls you confident. The next day you post a similar picture and suddenly you're arrogant. Same person, same photo, completely different labels. If you tied your self-worth to those shifting opinions, you'd be changing masks every 5 minutes. The Sigma male refuses to play that exhausting game. He knows that most opinions say more about the person giving them than the one receiving them. Instead of living as a puppet of public opinion, he stands firmly in who he is, and that unshakable stance is what sets him apart. In real life, it works the same way. Picture this: you speak up during a meeting at work. One person calls you confident. Another whispers you're rude. Which is true? Neither. They're just two different opinions filtered through two different biases. The Sigma male listens to what people say, sure, but he never lets their words carve out who he is. Their opinions belong to them, not to him. In fact, he often finds it funny. While everyone else is busy sweating over gossip and whisper campaigns, he's thinking, if I believed every version of me they've made up, I'd need multiple passports just to keep up with all these different characters I apparently play. That small dose of humor keeps him grounded. By refusing to let random labels stick, he builds peace in a world addicted to noise. He lives by his own code, not by the names people try to pin on him. And that's exactly what makes him so unshakable. No matter how many stories people invent about him, he knows the only reality that counts is the one he creates for himself. Number 4. He uses blame as a filter. False accusations aren't just attacks, they're shortcuts. Shortcuts to finding out who's really in your corner and who was just standing there for convenience. Sigma males have learned that blame is a spotlight. When the room goes dark, that beam of suspicion shows you exactly who is loyal and who's just waiting for a reason to walk away. Picture this in a normal setting. A rumor floats around the office claiming you botched a project. Watch what happens. Some coworkers quietly avoid you, as if standing near you might get them infected. Others change their tone overnight, treating the rumor as gospel truth. But then, there's that rare person who stops and says, "Wait, that doesn't sound like you. I need to hear your side first." The Sigma male takes mental notes in these moments. He doesn't chase the ones who ran or waste breath proving himself to the ones who swallowed the rumor without a second thought. In a way, it's a blessing. The nonsense acts like a cleaning crew, sweeping away fake friends. He even finds a way to laugh about it. If you can believe that story without a shred of evidence, maybe you should try writing fiction novels instead of gossiping about me, he thinks to himself. Humor makes the sting lighter, because he knows every false believer that falls away is doing him a favor. By letting blame filter his circle, he ends up with fewer people, but the ones who stay are rock solid. And that clarity is priceless. In the end, false blame doesn't just unmask liars, it reveals loyalty. Number 5, he observes patterns. If blame seems to follow him everywhere he goes, the Sigma male doesn't automatically assume the whole world is out to get him. He steps back and asks, what lesson am I supposed to learn from this? That question changes everything. Sometimes accusations aren't just bad luck. They're warning signals. They might be pointing towards something he needs to fix within himself. Imagine someone who's constantly accused of being unreliable. At first, they might dismiss it as unfair criticism. But if that same accusation shows up in every workplace, every friendship, every relationship, maybe it's time to take a closer look. Maybe they're not unreliable in a big way, but perhaps they're late too often or bad at following through. The Sigma male sees these repeating patterns as data, not as personal attacks. If there's truth in the accusation, he doesn't run from it, he adjusts. He treats it like training, sharpening himself rather than sulking. And if, after serious reflection, he finds the accusations completely baseless, he laughs and lets it roll off his back. At this point, if I'm being blamed for everything under the sun, I should probably check if I'm secretly running a villain empire in my sleep. That lightheartedness keeps him from turning bitter. He refuses to be a victim of life's accusations. Instead, he mines them for wisdom, throws away what doesn't serve him, and keeps moving forward stronger than before. Number 6. He channels blame into motivation. Every attempt to discredit a Sigma male is like adding fuel to his fire. He doesn't waste hours trying to argue with every doubter. He knows some people will believe whatever story entertains them most. So instead of debating, he turns blame into fuel. Imagine being accused at work of not doing enough. You could spend days explaining every little task you completed, or you could simply show up and deliver a project so flawless that even your loudest critic is left speechless. That's exactly what the Sigma does. He thrives on turning doubt into drive. The more people whisper, the harder he works to make results so undeniable that they silence the room. And he's not doing it out of revenge. He's doing it out of discipline. Arguments fade. Gossip gets forgotten. But results stick. When someone tells him he can't do something, he doesn't just want to prove them wrong. He wants to prove himself right. And by the time those results finally show up, the people who blamed him end up looking foolish, and he didn't even have to say a word. He even jokes about it. Why waste my energy arguing when my results can embarrass them for me? That mindset keeps him sharp. Instead of letting blame slow him down, he uses it to run faster, work smarter, and stand taller. People who tried to bury him in accusations often end up standing on the foundation he built with their doubt. Number 7. He doesn't entertain pity. He would rather stand alone on solid truth than sit surrounded by comforting lies. For the Sigma male, pity feels cheap and hollow, like someone handing you a bandage when you don't even have a wound, or patting your shoulder with a "you'll be fine," when what you really need is raw honesty. He doesn't want people to patch over his reality with soft words just to make him feel better, especially when those same people won't face the truth in their own lives. This plays out everywhere: work, friendships, even family. Imagine being blamed for something you didn't do and a friend leans in and says, "Don't worry, people are just jealous." It sounds supportive, right? But it solves nothing. It doesn't clear your name, doesn't address the lie. It's comfort without clarity, and that's not good enough for him. The Sigma male would rather hear, "This is unfair. Let's actually look at the facts," than be showered with sympathy that changes nothing. Even when he's the one in the wrong, pity is the last thing he wants. If he botched a project, the very last thing he needs is someone saying, "Oh, poor you, it wasn't your fault." He'd rather laugh, shrug, and say, "Nope, that one's on me," then roll up his sleeves and fix it. That's why he's hard to control. You can't manipulate someone who doesn't crave soft pillows of fake reassurance. He doesn't need lullabies. He wants the hard ground of truth because that's the place where real progress gets built. Sometimes he even jokes about it. If someone tries to pity him, he thinks, "If I wanted bedtime stories, I'd call my grandmother." That humor keeps him from taking sympathy too seriously. By rejecting pity, he shows his strength. He knows that truth, even if it leaves him standing alone, is far more valuable than lies dressed up as kindness. And while others may crumble under the weight of false comfort, he keeps standing tall on honesty. Number 8. He reads between the lines of blame. Blame, he's learned, is often just a mask. It's rarely about what people say on the surface. It's about what they don't want to admit. Blame hides fear, envy, or frustration. The Sigma male doesn't just hear the words. He listens for the meaning underneath. Take a common example. A coworker might accuse you of trying to outshine everyone. On the surface, it sounds like criticism, but dig a little deeper and what they're really saying is, I feel threatened because I'm not doing as much. Their words have very little to do with you. They're a mirror reflecting their own insecurities. The Sigma male spots this quickly. If someone blames him for being distant, he stops to ask, is this really about me being distant, or about them feeling ignored? If someone says he's controlling, he digs deeper and realizes it's often just their frustration at not being able to sway him. Sometimes he even finds it hilarious. When someone fires off wild accusations, he thinks, thanks for the free tour of your insecurities. I didn't even ask for one. Humor keeps him from being dragged into their storm. By reading between the lines, he avoids reacting emotionally and stays focused on what's real. This skill gives him an edge. While everyone else wastes energy fighting over surface-level accusations, he sees the deeper story. Blame, more often than not, is just weakness speaking in a louder voice. Number 9. He sees blame as proof of impact. Here's a truth most people miss. Nobody throws stones at something that isn't moving. The Sigma male knows that if no one was noticing him, no one would bother blaming him. Blame isn't always an attack. Sometimes it's a backhanded compliment. Think about it. In sports, the star player usually takes the heat when the team loses, even though 10 other players made mistakes. Why? Because the star carries the most weight. The spotlight is heaviest on the one who moves the game forward. It's the same for the Sigma male. If he were irrelevant or invisible, no one would even mention his name. But because he can't be controlled or boxed in, blame becomes the weapon people throw to try to rein him in. Instead of being crushed by it, he flips the meaning. To him, blame is proof that his presence had an effect, that he moved something inside someone, even if it wasn't comfortable for them. In his quiet humor, he might think, if I'm getting blamed again, I must be doing something right. This outlook keeps him calm. He doesn't measure himself by applause or criticism, but by the fact that he creates ripples. People throw stones only at what makes waves, never at what just sits there. Number 10. He moves forward while others argue. At the end of the day, he knows arguing rarely changes anyone's mind. Once people decide you're guilty, you could write an entire book defending yourself and they still wouldn't believe it. So instead of wasting his breath, he keeps moving. His focus stays on building, creating, proving through action what no argument could ever accomplish. And slowly, quietly, that consistency does what words never could. It silences false blame. You see this play out almost everywhere. Picture two coworkers accused of slacking off. One of them spends the next few days venting to everyone, telling their side of the story, demanding to be heard, while the other just keeps their head down, meets every deadline, and quietly proves everyone wrong. In the end, who do you think earns the boss's respect? It's not even close. Words fade into the background, but results, they build a reputation that no rumor can touch. The Sigma male lives by this principle. He knows that false accusations are nothing but temporary noise. But proof? Proof is permanent. Every task he completes, every responsibility he carries through, every goal he nails, it all stacks up like undeniable evidence, speaking louder than his voice ever could. Instead of wasting time running in circles trying to defend himself, he just keeps moving in a straight line toward progress. And he often finds humor in it. While others get tangled up in shouting matches, he thinks to himself, if I stop to answer every accusation, I'd need to hire a full-time secretary just to keep up. His refusal to be dragged into pointless bickering keeps him sharp, focused, and miles ahead of those who tried to hold him back. Eventually, his results speak so loudly that even his harshest critics have to face the truth they were avoiding. That is why the Sigma male stays steady. He understands something most people forget. The truth doesn't need to scream when it has evidence to stand on. Number 11. He knows truth doesn't always shout. Truth isn't always noisy. Sometimes it simply waits. The Sigma male understands that lies make the loudest sound because they need constant attention to stay alive. But truth just stands there, patient, letting time do the heavy lifting. He doesn't panic when false accusations start flying, because he knows storms always run out of rain. And when they do, what's left standing is reality. Think about how gossip works. Someone drops a rumor and suddenly it feels like the whole world is buzzing. People whisper, speculate, stir the pot, and it seems endless. But give it a few weeks, and the rumor either dies because no evidence shows up or it shifts to someone else, because people always crave new drama. Meanwhile, the truth is right there, calm, untouched by the noise. The Sigma male doesn't waste his energy fighting every single lie. He lets time drag them into the light, where they burn out on their own. He focuses instead on living in a way that eventually proves everything. Lies always run out of fuel. Consistency never does. He even adds humor to the process. While everyone else is running around in panic, he quietly thinks, "Let them talk. I'll just wait for the rerun when the truth comes back in style." That patience keeps him grounded while others exhaust themselves. By trusting in the quiet power of truth, he shows a maturity that few ever develop. He knows that storms of lies may come and go, but truth is like a mountain. It doesn't need to roar to prove it exists. It just needs to stand. Number 12. He doesn't rush to clear his name. Instead, he waits. He watches. He studies. That might sound strange to most people, because the natural instinct when accused is to jump up and defend yourself immediately. But the Sigma male knows better. He understands that the accusation itself is not the real test. The way others react to it is. Imagine this. Something goes wrong at work, and suddenly all eyes are on you. You know you had nothing to do with it. But instead of shouting, "It wasn't me," you stay quiet. You watch who trusts you without hesitation, and who is quick to throw you under the bus just to save themselves. That reaction tells you everything you need to know about who truly stands with you. People reveal their loyalty when it costs them something, not when it's easy. This calm observation is not passivity, it's strategy. The Sigma male treats blame like an X-ray. It shows him the fractures in relationships, revealing who is genuine and who is only pretending. And yes, he finds humor in it. While others are running around like it's a courtroom drama, he's quietly thinking, "Well, thanks for saving me the trouble. Now I know who not to trust with my secrets." Instead of panicking, he lets people reveal themselves. By refusing to rush to defend himself, he protects his energy. He knows the truth doesn't need to be shouted from rooftops. It only needs to be lived. And when the dust finally settles, the truth speaks louder than any rumor ever could. Number 13. He values evidence over emotion. When most people are accused of something, panic takes over. Voices rise, tempers flare, and suddenly it's not even about what's true. It's about who can yell the loudest. But the Sigma male doesn't play that game. He places his confidence in evidence, not drama. Picture someone at work pointing a finger at him, saying he ruined a project, while everyone else scrambles to argue and throw accusations back. He just sits back and lets the facts speak. The reports, the records, the results, they do all the talking. It's like accusing the sun of not rising, only for daylight to spill across the sky a few minutes later. Facts don't argue. They simply exist. And when they show up, they embarrass the accuser far more than any angry reply ever could. That's the beauty of how he handles it. He teaches a quiet lesson without even trying. Emotions may twist the story, but proof doesn't lie. It's not that he's cold or unfeeling. It's that he's wise enough to know that shouting doesn't win the fight, clarity does. And in the end, it's the facts that clean up the mess for him. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been blamed for something you had absolutely nothing to do with? Ever felt that crushing weight of proving yourself when, deep down, you already knew the truth? That's the reality Sigma males live with almost every single day. But here's the twist: they don't let it break them. They turn it into their secret weapon. Every false accusation becomes a filter, showing them who's real and who's fake. Every whisper behind their back becomes fuel, driving them to rise stronger than before. They don't see blame as a curse. They see it as a spotlight revealing who truly belongs in their circle. And in time, that circle becomes smaller, yes, but unshakably strong. The most powerful thing about a Sigma? They refuse to let blame write their story. They know who they are, and they let truth, not gossip, define them. So the next time you're unfairly blamed, take a page from the Sigma playbook. Don't waste your breath shouting at the crowd. Let your actions, your results, and your consistency speak for you. Because sometimes being blamed is proof that you mattered, that your presence made waves big enough to rattle the surface. Stand tall, stay unshaken, keep moving forward, and let your life become the undeniable evidence no rumor can erase. If this spoke to you, if you've been there before, hit that like button, subscribe to Epic Persona, and share your story in the comments. Tell me, what's one time you let your success answer your critics? Because that's the Sigma way, turning blame into power. Stay strong, stay relentless, stay Sigma. This is Epic Persona.